So what I'm holding here is what we call a green growing bench graft, and it's basically grown in a nursery in a hothouse, and they grafted this vine in February or March to the desired rootstock that we need from here on down. And this is a one bud scion that they've put on here. You can't see it under all the wax, but anyway, there's a graft union here, and it makes a lot of growth in the hothouse condition, and then the nursery pulls it out of the hothouse for a couple of weeks and conditions the vine for planting essentially. So this vine has a root system inside this pot of potting soil here. And as the site is prepared, we pre-water, so there's some moist soil. We're not worried about putting compost or any kind of soil amendments to enhance the growth. We want the vine to be in as much a natural environment as possible. And we generally have good micro organisms here in this soil, and a lot of things that are naturally good, so we don't have to add to it. But we do want to put in what we call a tea bag, and it is mycorrhiza. And we usually put one at the bottom of the planting hole and put the vine on top of it, and it just really helps get that vine or tomato plant or any plant a good start. If you're putting in a fruit tree, maybe you put 2 or 3 because of the size of the fruit tree compared to the young vine. But the proper method is to dig a deep enough hole, have good loose soil, not too wet. Work the vine through the carton gently, and you can see the material here, and there's some roots in here. Put a tea bag in like this, and then we're going to leave a portion of this vine above the ground. So we want to leave from the graft union about 4 or 5 fingers above the ground, and start putting our dirt in. And then they'll pack it in there a little bit with their foot. And on top of all that, after they get the soil in there, you can see our spaghetti tube is here, so we can give water here. Plus we have another dripper out here to help get the roots to migrate towards the water. Then we'll put a carton, keep the rabbits from eating these young vines, because the rabbits and a lot of vermin like to eat on the very young stuff, but it gives them a little bit of environment in the cartons. But we'll leave the cartons on for the whole summer and most of the winter, and take the cartons off generally next year. But again, to ensure that we get these things planted right, they got to be up against the rod or the training stake in this case, so that way if we do any mechanical operations, the trunk is too far out and it's going to be taken out by a French plow or some sort of mechanical device. But we have a good base for training. And again, our goal is at least 4 to 5 fingers from the graft union to the soil level, the natural soil level. Sometimes these young vines come from the nursery, and they actually have a cluster of fruit on them, which will get removed. Just because we want growth. We're not going to harvest any crop off of these vines this year, so we'll go ahead and have the guys take the fruit off for sure. Again, we're not here to grow fruit, we're here to grow grapevines, so we're going to take that fruit ball off, eliminate it completely. I know it appears that the guys are struggling digging through this, but you can see how loose and friable the soil is. It breaks up relatively nice in the hand. It's moist because we've turned on the water 2 days prior for about 8 hours to give it a nice soaking, but we didn't want to do it the day prior because it could be too wet and then stick into the shovel. So again, it's just a matter of timing and knowing what you're doing and anticipating that you're going to plant on a certain day. Pre-water, get the soil moist, the vines will go in the ground, the cartons will go on, the water will come back on, and for a couple 3 hours, and just keep them moist every couple days over the next couple of weeks. And just encourage, not drown them, but just keep the moisture there. Again, these are transplants in a sense. They're a transplant we're putting in. They're not a dormant plant, but a transplant. So we have to be always thinking about how delicate they could be.